You ever wonder why the fire hasn't consumed you, why you're still standing after everything the enemy tried to throw your way, why the attacks intensified the moment you decided to walk in purpose? It's because you're not just in a battle, you are the battle. You carry the kind of calling that makes hell nervous. You carry the kind of oil that can't be faked, borrowed, or copied. And when God marks you, the enemy notices. See, chosen ones don't blend in, they break ground. They shift rooms just by entering. They carry answers in their spirit before the question's even asked. And yes, it comes with a cost. You'll feel isolated before you feel celebrated. You'll be misunderstood before you're embraced. You'll be set apart before you're ever set up. But what if I told you that was the plan all along? God hid you, not to punish you, but to preserve you. Because what's on your life couldn't be exposed too soon. Because what's in you needed time to mature. Because the level of glory coming through you requires deep roots. And roots don't grow in spotlight, they grow in silence. So if you've been in a hidden season, take heart. If your prayers felt unanswered, your purpose felt delayed, your growth felt unnoticed, take heart. Heaven wasn't ignoring you, it was incubating you, preparing you, sharpening your sword in the spirit, so when the moment came you wouldn't flinch. You've cried behind closed doors and still stood in front of others with strength. You've poured into people who never poured back. You've fought battles no one even knew you were in. That's not weakness, that's warrior conditioning. That's not rejection. That's refinement. You weren't meant to look like everyone else. You were meant to carry what others couldn't. That's why you couldn't fit in. That's why the crowd never felt like home. Because you weren't made to follow. You were anointed to lead. You weren't born for comfort. You were called for combat. So hear me clearly, this is not the time to get weary, not the time to compromise, not the time to chase clout instead of calling, because your anointing wasn't given for applause, it was given for impact. Your gifting isn't decoration, it's a weapon. So rise, warrior, dust off your armor, wipe your tears, not because the pain wasn't real, but because the mission is greater. This generation doesn't need another influencer, it needs intercessors. It doesn't need cute Christianity. It needs kingdom carriers. It needs people who walk with power, who war in the spirit, who burn with unshakable conviction. People who don't wait for a platform to obey God. People who preach with their life before they ever pick up a mic. Men of God, you weren't made to suffer in silence. You weren't designed to suppress your pain and call it strength. Real strength looks like surrender. It looks like choosing healing over hiding. It looks like confessing when you're struggling and still praying through the pressure. Your sons are watching, your daughters are listening. Your legacy isn't built in how much you provide. It's built in how well you lead in love. Let God into the parts of you that still bleed. Let Him father you so you can father from a place of freedom. You don't need to have it all together. You just need to be available. Your obedience will break cycles in your bloodline. Your prayers will birth revival in your home. You carry more than you know, and God's not asking for your resume, He's asking for your yes. Women of God, you've carried so much, and still stood with grace. But God's not just raising you up to nurture. He's raising you to lead, not just to help others reach destiny, but to walk boldly in your own. You are not just strong, you are spirit-filled. You are not just sensitive, you are strategic. You don't just feel deeply, you discern deeply. Your softness is not a weakness, it's your superpower. Your intuition is not just emotion, it's spiritual intelligence. You were born to build, to decree and declare, to lift your voice and shatter atmospheres. You are a lioness in the spirit, and your roar is a sound the enemy can't silence. So stop shrinking, stop apologizing, stop playing small to make others comfortable. Your womb births nations, and your worship shakes realms. Together, sons and daughters, warriors and watchmen, we rise. We rise not to mimic the world, but to reflect heaven. Not to be politically correct, but to be prophetically accurate. Not to fit in, but to call out the chosen and ignite the remnant. We are not here to blend, we are here to burn. And let me tell you, This isn't just motivation, it's mobilization. This is heaven's call to arms. Because the world doesn't need more trendy quotes, it needs truth-tellers. It needs radical lovers of Jesus who know how to war in prayer, stand in righteousness, and carry fire. So what's next? You move different, you speak with boldness, you show up like someone sent by God, because you were. You're not a mistake. You're not too late. You're not disqualified. You are marked, you are mantled, you are chosen. So lift your head, warrior. The same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead lives in you, and that spirit doesn't lose. Drop this in the comments if you know you've been called for the front lines. I'm a kingdom weapon, forged in fire, rising in power. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss a single battle cry. This is Bytes News, where faith meets fire, and revival isn't coming. It's already here. Team Jesus, let's ride.